What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies! Hey!
We're here with a new episode to talk about all things going on in the world of geekdom. We got two reviews to jump into in this show. We're going to talk about Wonder Man, a spoiler review, so let you guys know that ahead of time. We'll probably be spoiling some things there. Our Game of Thrones, the Night of Seven Kingdoms, episode 2, we're going to talk about as well. We're going to get into some Star Wars stuff. There's some updates on Filoni's projects that are coming around. We're going to talk about that Daredevil trailer. We're going to get into James Gunn posting pictures again and what it all means, all here on the Geek Buddies. But let's introduce ourselves first. For some of you might be new to us, I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows, movies, and video games.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer, a television actor, and a film actor. I'm supposed to be wrapped this week, but sometimes big budget filmmaking, the schedule gets pushed around, so it's fine. Yeah.
This guy. Hey, let's make it happen. So we're gonna get into things. And when Shannon can talk about the movie, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about it. Maybe we'll cover the trailer for that movie on this show, possibly. We'll see. But let's jump into some Star Wars stuff first. Talk about Dave, a guy who's got a lot of big stuff going on. Dave Filoni has got a lot to talk about going on here, and there's some changes coming around to Lucasfilm and one of his projects here. Michael wanted to talk about this. Daniel Richtman, via his Patreon, said Filoni's Heir to the Empire movie is being redeveloped into a limited series for Disney Plus. If true, it would mean that the project would no longer serve as Filoni's live-action feature directorial debut. The decision, though, is said to depend on how The Mandalorian and Grogu movies perform. This is exactly what Daniel said about what I said last week, that they're going to turn Secret Wars into 2 separate movies, but it depends on how Doomsday performs. So this is depending on how Mandalorian and Grogu performs. Michael, what do you think about this? You want to talk about this? What are your feelings on it?
I did want to talk about this. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're looking at them sort of realigning their strategies. And as Shannon loves to point out, Star Wars loves to announce things and then we'll believe it when we see it. But we had the mangled Origin of the Jedi movie that was absolutely happening. The Daisy Ridley-led Rey movie that was absolutely happening. Totally. And then the Filoni's directorial live-action debut and feature films movie that was going to be the culmination of all of the Star Wars TV shows that were taking place in that post-Return of the Jedi era that was absolutely happening. And as of now, I don't know that any of them are absolutely happening. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think part of this is, just based on the marketing for Mandalorian and Grogu and based on the fan response to the marketing of Mandalorian and Grogu, although Grogu is still very popular and there's a lot of love for Mandalorian, I don't know that the excitement level for this movie is blowing the doors off. Like, this doesn't feel like, oh my God, we've got a big Star Wars movie coming out this year. So I think the excitement level is part of it, but I think just like Marvel, they're recalibrating this TV series to movie jump. I think what we're all realizing and learning is there are people that love a brand and will go see the movies, the TV shows, the animated series, read the comics, the novelizations, and they love to know everything. And then there's casual moviegoers that just want to go see a good movie. And going to go see a movie in theaters where you had to have watched 3 seasons of Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, 1 to 2 seasons of Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, and also see Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters, and then you get to go see this movie that's the culmination of all of that, probably is going to lead to some casual moviegoers being very, very confused. Yeah. Whereas having an epic event on Disney Plus that is Filoni's version of a very, very rough adaptation of Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire books, probably a better place for the culmination of all your TV series. And I think that combined with, the new leadership, a new direction for Star Wars, what are we doing with the movies? I think we're sort of seeing them recalibrate a lot of the things that they were planning on and going, this is going to be better for here. Let's clear the deck for whatever it is we're planning moving forward.
Yeah, good points, Mike. Absolutely. Yeah, look at the perspective of what's going on and the interest of the fans, at this point, which is, kind of waning in terms of going to see stuff in the movie theater. As we were talking about with Kathleen Kennedy, it's been 7 years since they've had a movie in the movie theaters. Now we're going to get, of course, Grogu and Starfighter. Your thoughts on this, Shannon? Does this make sense to you? And does this say anything about Filoni's movie being moved? And this is the co-CEO now of Lucasfilm. His movie being pushed possibly to Disney Plus, depending on how Mandalorian and Grogu do in the theaters.
Well, I mean, I think what Vogel said is absolutely correct. There is a version where the Star Wars Disney Plus series so captured the audience that it was bringing in casual moviegoers. Like, you have to see this show, that Ahsoka just blew the doors off of everything. The kids fell in love with Skeleton Crew. There is a version where they're like, you know what, this story is so huge, it can't be contained on Disney Plus. We got to go to the theaters. We got to get it on the biggest screen possible. That is not currently where they find themselves. So the idea that you are going to be potentially combining the storylines from several different series into one giant movie, that is asking, as Vogel already put, a lot of an audience. So it doesn't surprise me that if it does happen, that it is kind of being scaled down to something more that to a Disney Plus audience. And if it is gangbusters, maybe that original plan will happen where people, it does get people so excited. But I think, one, you have to find out how The Mandalorian and Grogu does and how Ahsoka season 2 does. I mean, I think a lot of us who really enjoy the character of Ahsoka Tano were a little lukewarm on the series. There's definitely some good things in it, but by the end, it was just like, that's it, huh? Like, you were just kind of left a little wanting. And maybe Dave Filoni has so many bullets in the gun and the blaster ready for season 2. Maybe that's what we've all been waiting for. But at this point, that's kind of hard to tell. I mean, as much as I like Skeleton Crew, outside of our very inner circle, I don't know a lot of people who saw it, and has nothing to do with the quality. I just think it has to do with where Star Wars is as a brand right now.
Yeah, I think what you said, Michael, earlier is something to really take a look at here, and that is like if Star Wars had been on a run right now, where, like, you know what I'm saying, because it's only homework when the quality isn't that great. And that's the thing. If they had been on a run now where people are like, oh my God, Ahsoka season 1 was great. Like, if they were vibing with that, like people vibe about Andor and go crazy about Andor, if they were going crazy about Ahsoka, crazy about the last season of The Mandalorian, which wasn't that great, going crazy about Skeleton Crew, going crazy about all these things, then we're leading up to this and we have nothing. We're Star Wars fans. We're like crazy excited to see what this movie is going to be. But clearly they're reading the tea leaves and they see that most of the fan base isn't going crazy for a Dave Filoni Avengers style type of thing because they haven't liked the buildup. And we talk about all the time, buildup is super important. That may be behind why Marvel might be splitting Secret Wars into 2 movies. They haven't done enough of a buildup to Doomsday to Secret Wars to really hammer it home. So that could be a possibility. But I also think the other thing is that Filoni's got to think bigger picture, even than more bigger picture than he's thought before, and long term, which is, if I put this on Disney Plus, this is also something subscribers can look forward to, keeping subscribers, getting them excited to stay and watch this stuff. So there's an element of that might be at play here as well. They have to keep subscribers by creating new content or exciting content to get people to watch the streaming service. They're not going to walk away from Disney Plus. So there's an element of that might be part of this. And him as the co-CEO has to look at more things and has to remove a little bit of his ego as well to make it work for the company and the brand overall, in my opinion.
Well, Lucasfilm doesn't care about Disney Plus subscribers. I mean, Bob Iger might ask Lucasfilm to do stuff, but Dave Filoni's job is not to worry about Disney Plus subscribers. Dave Filoni's job is just to make content for Lucasfilm. But I do think that it is probably a smart decision across the board for all those reasons. I do think that can be a huge event for Disney Plus. And if Bob Iger was like, we need to eventize things, great. But I do think that, I think everything you guys said about the general excitement is true. But I would argue even if people were really excited, I think what we're learning post-pandemic and post the Marvel shows and all these different strategies is that the TV audience for brands, for IP, and the movie audience are 2 different things. And I would argue, look, we all agree that Andor is probably some of the best Star Wars that we've gotten in the past decade. But would Andor's story and tone and style have worked on the big screen? And would that have gotten audiences in the way that it got the critical response it got on TV? Andor might be better for TV. And had that come out, people would have been like, oh, it's too dour. Where were the Jedi? I wanted lightsabers. Like, the general audience goes, I want to go see a Star Wars movie. And I do think that, and hopefully this is kind of what they're coming to, the movie side of Lucasfilm should be moving Star Wars forward. It's always like, what's coming next? Let's open the next chapter. Let's get the biggest audience possible excited about these new stories and these new characters. And then on Disney Plus, in limited series, in animated series, and all these other things, you can go play in the cracks. You can do the story of what happened to Maul between Clone Wars and Rebels, and we'll be excited about it. What happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens? Okay, this is great, let's dive in. But asking that bigger, wider audience to go, okay, so look at the Star Wars timeline. These characters existed after Return of the Jedi, but that Rey is not born yet. Poe's not, like, it gets confusing.
Right.
Not to us, because we're nerds and we love that shit. Right. But your cousin and your aunt and your nephews that live in Ohio are like, yeah, maybe I want to just see something that's really fun and exciting on the big screen.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But I'm going to disagree with you that Lucasfilm doesn't care about Disney Plus subscribers. It's all tapped in. If Disney owns them all, they better fucking care about Disney Plus subscribers, because all of it elevates all the boats, all, the rising tide all around. So I just disagree with that on that. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, well, let's move on to our first review. Let's talk about this stuff. We had a second episode of Night of the Seven Kingdoms here, episode 2. This one was called Hard Salt Beef, directed by Owen Harris here. Of course, this one following Sir Duncan and Egg as they get deeper into their friendship and their relationship. We see them watching some jousting. We see them participating in a tug of war and celebrating, even his little hands getting on that rope and handling his business. We also see Sir Duncan hanging out with his homie there and his elephant cock at the start of this whole thing. We also meet, to me, one of the best characters already from the beginning in presentation, a Targaryen here and his brother, and what that relationship is going to be like with Sir Duncan, because this is the one man who actually remembers Sir Duncan's hedge knight master there and will vouch for him possibly getting into these games. But by the end, we're sitting with Sir Duncan out by that tree. Sitting by with Duncan by the tree, and he's very much ready to prove what he can do, which I thought was a nice little twist to end this thing. So, Shannon, what'd you think of this episode here, Hard Salt Beef, as the second episode of Night of Seven Kingdoms?
This is the episode, and granted, it's only number 2, that my curiosity of whether or not the world of Westeros would support a smaller story like this, that has now been surpassed by my enjoyment. I think the dynamic between Dunk and Egg is so fantastic. Peter Claffey. Good. I think there is a stereotype with athletes who become actors that they're not always that good. And granted, there have been some folks in the past. I mean, I think wrestlers you put to the side because there is a performance to their athleticism. Right. But when you look at what Peter Claffey is doing as he's a rugby player, right, Johnny?
Yeah, for Ireland. Yep.
You look at what he's doing. I'm like, this guy's an actor. I mean, and there is just such a simple charm about him that you just love this guy. I mean, granted, he's a mountain, like the guy's a behemoth, but you're so worried about him. Like, you're like, oh, I just want things to work out for this guy. And the character of Egg, again, he's a little scamp. And watching these two together, watching him trying to be the rudder to this giant ship that has never been out on the ocean, that is Dunk, it's just charming. And watching how he's going to each of these nights, leaving a little bit of his dignity each time, and Egg being the one to comment on, like, sir, this is undignified. I mean, it's so fun to watch these two together. And to your observation, Johnny, about Baelor Targaryen, again, not having a deep knowledge of the books, Seeing a Targaryen without that silver hair, I'm kind of like, well, that's weird. But there is something about this guy. Like there is such a nobility there. And then you meet his brother, who just seems like a giant piece of shit. And it's like, well, yeah, that one I believe is a
that Targaryen. I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, thus far, man, it's just such an enjoyable watch. And I hope that this is a pairing that we get to see more and more, just in terms of seasons. Again, I'm basing this off of 2 episodes. It could take a hard right turn at some point, but I am super enjoying it right now.
Yeah, Michael, the second episode, we certainly saw Duncan and Egg get closer. We certainly, in my opinion, and I think you already have this or alluded to this in our review last week, like it's clear that Egg is a Targaryen. Like there's a reason he shaved his head. When he sees the Targaryen banner coming across the bridge, he has a reaction. He immediately grabs the horse and wants to go back to the camp. There's more going on here, and we do get more with the Baratheon character and that tug of war situation. but it's Baelor Breakspear here, who I was talking about, who's the Targaryen prince that we see take a little bit of the attention here in his approach. And Maekar, who, if for those of you who know the books, he is the father of Aemon, who will be at the Lord's End. So your thoughts on this, Michael, on this episode? Not a lot of action, but certainly we're moving towards the jousting. We're moving towards Duncan finally getting in the ring here. Your thoughts?
I mean, I echo Shannon's thoughts that, like, I think we were all texting each other, and I didn't know that I would ever find a Game of Thrones show just charming. And interestingly, it's interesting that we're talking about this series right now, and that we're going to talk about Wonder Man in a little bit, because I think both of these shows are shows that exist in a universe of IP that tends to be epic, huge, and sweeping, whether it's the sweeping nature of the dragons and the battles for the Iron Throne, or the MCU and the Marvel Cinematic Universe building to Avengers level threats. We have these 2 series that are really kind of small. And I think are serving both brands really, really, really well. One thing that's not small is Arlen Pennytree's dick. So let's talk, like, but I do think
in for a penny, in for a pound. Am I right?
But,
yeah, a few pounds.
But I do, you know, in the same way that the first episode opened with that swelling Game of Thrones theme, followed by Dunk taking a dump. When you listen to the behind the episode stuff that they do afterwards, they talk about it and they're like, look, a lot of the episode in the flashbacks is taking the piss out of Arlen of Pennytree a little bit. Like, it's very clear that this guy, Dunk's estimation of the man who took him in might not be the way that other people viewed him. And that we do kind of see him old, a little bit doddering. We see some nice stuff too, but like by open, like I think the creator says that he has a swagger to him, and there's a reason. And we saw the reason he's got that swagger. No matter what else is going on in his life as a hedge knight, he's got confidence in something, and we saw what it was. Which I thought, you know, and again, it's just very funny, and it's an over-the-top way to open the episode, and I thought that was great. The whole journey, you're right, there's not a ton of action here, but what I did really love, and as you guys were talking about the Targaryens, is, you know, Dunk's a very small story. Dunk and Egg is this very, like, he's literally living the, can I make it into the tourney? Can I become a knight? Those are his stakes. But because he does end up interacting with the Targaryens and we get a sense of the bigger world, we start to get that sense of where we fit in the Game of Thrones universe. And, you know, the thing about the Targaryens right now is this is the Targaryens after there's no more dragons. All the dragons die in House of Dragon. Like, House of the Dragon is about how we all had dragons. We all had a civil war of dragons, and there was no more dragons until Daenerys found some eggs, which is the beginning of Game of Thrones. So this is the Targaryens still ruling, but a little bit on their heels. And again, I've not read the books, and I'm kind of happy that I haven't. Like, I'm kind of enjoying just riding the ride on this. But I do think, given what Egg's backstory is and why he is in hiding and why he is shaving his head, and Dunk's journey to become this knight, and the way it's intersecting with Baratheons and Targaryens, and I'm sure Lannisters are coming into this. It's a cool way to sort of get the lay of the land in the more epic sense, but in a very personal, sweet, and charming story. And ultimately, this entire series rests on the chemistry of this kid and this former rugby player. And the two of them are just absolutely adorable together. And that's what makes it work. Like all the rest of it is fun and interesting and kind of cool. And definitely the show has a big budget. And there's lots of fun side characters, but really it's the two of them. And in 2 episodes, they've done a really great job of me going, I care as much about Dunk becoming a knight as I ever did about Daenerys or Jon Snow or anyone else. Like the stakes might not be sweeping for Westeros, but I'm invested to the same level that I was on any of those other shows.
Yeah, I agree with all the things you guys are saying for sure. I'm loving the show. I'm trying to take it 1 week at a time because I'm so tempted to just blaze through the whole season, but I want to take it and enjoy it for what it is. And I love it. And I love what Claffey's doing. Shannon, you pointed that out so well. I saw someone else say this in the review. I think it's maybe IGN or Vulture, where they were saying it's so easy for someone to play that and become a caricature or a stereotype. He finds the sweetness in this vulnerability. Like even the scene where he's like, oh, no, it's the other way. Like we've seen that joke a million times in shows and movies that he goes one way, but he's actually going out is the other way after he talks to the Targaryens. It's a funny joke, but he plays it so honestly that you buy into it. His fumbling around with the young girl who's going to paint his shield that possibly may or may not be a love interest. We don't know what the situation with that relationship is going to be, but like his awkwardness, and then him and Egg sitting on that bench and him saying like, that, did I do that okay? And they're having the conversations and Egg trying to encourage him, but well, you guys have a commonality because you're both tall. Figure that shit out or whatever. Like, so there's little moments that you find that he has a vulnerability, but so that by the end, when he is like, I'm going to show them what I can do. I'm going to show them who the hell I am. That's a great turn because you think he's going to maybe sit there and be like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Because they were having those almost like PTSD moments when he was remembering as he's watching this jousting happen in front of him of burying his mentor. And he had just spent the first part, as you pointed out, Shannon, begging other knights to remember his guy, Sir Arlen, so that he could get into this tournament. And the one guy that does remember him adds to the nobility with which he sees this hedge knight who had been guiding him and training him all those years by saying he unhorsed a Lannister and that the Targaryen did not take his armor because he fought him so well. So this adds to nobility. And I think that's what's coursing through this episode that I think is great. And that's because Egg has been saying this to Duncan. Duncan is so caught up in trying to get the favor, as Egg says, of these lapdogs of these other houses, the lower ranked people of these other houses, that he doesn't realize that who he is as a person is already a knight, is already noble enough, but he's trying to achieve a certain level of knight so that he can be seen by other knights as being as noble as worthy. We even see Finn Bennett's Targaryen kid there, gonna treat him like a horse, a stable boy rather. So, but we're seeing that the nobility, the knighthood that he is trying to achieve is already within him. And Egg is trying to get him to see that. And certainly I think that's a great message. Too many people get caught up with, I must have all of this to look like I am this. But in fact, if you've got it in here, it doesn't matter what you look like or where you or what you achieve or what amount of money you have. This is what's really important. And I like that that's kind of coursing throughout in their interactions, you know. And so I think it's good from the show.
I mean, it is, and again, for anyone who's listening, who has read the stories and knows more than we do, but yes, I thought Baelor Targaryen was very nice in remembering his mentor.
Yes,
I don't trust that man.
No, of course not. He's a Targaryen.
Just to be clear,
yeah,
I don't. Sure, he was nice enough, but like, I'm watching that whole family with side eye for this whole series until we get more of the information and the lay of the land of them and the sons that ran off and everything else. So we'll see. But it's a great ride. And again, I think the lesson here, and again, we're going to reiterate this in a few minutes when we talk about Wonder Man, but the lesson here is you don't need earth-shattering stakes to make your audience care 100%. Deeply about what's happening.
Right.
I think that this show is just such a breath of fresh air right now. It's just light and fun, and I care, and it's enjoyable, and I'm just got a smile on my face the whole time. And I'm super down for more of it. Like I would be more than happy to have a world where I can dive into House of the Dragon and have my epic dragon battles and my, over the top drama between who's sleeping with who and who's killing who, and then come back to Dunk and Egg. Like those two things can exist in one IP, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, it's almost like a Rocky element. He's been plucked out of being a nobody in essence, and now he might have a shot to, if he wins this tournament, to achieve a certain level of status down the road. So I think that's universal for a lot of people, which, as you said, Mike, is a nice breath of fresh air for the show. It is
100% a sports story set in a fantasy medieval kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like watching him watch the joust at the
end. Yeah.
And you get the sense that, yes, he trained with Sir Arlen. He's never done this.
Right.
He's never done anything like this. It's like going to like baseball practice. And when you get into the game, you see like, yes, there are things that I have tried, but I've never been in this environment. And the idea, like the one Lord Ashworth's is Ashford, Lord Ashford's daughter, when Dunk overhears that the princes are gone, she's like, they're gone. They're probably dead. And then she looks at him because it's just not registering with him because the gears don't move that fast. They move. It just takes a second. But when she immediately reverts to, you're big and stupid. Like it is so sad. And then when he sells that horse.
Yeah.
The only thing I want is for him to get that horse back right now.
All I was thinking was Sondheim when he has to sell the cow for the beans. That's all I was thinking in that moment with the horse. Yeah.
I do think the number one moment of the episode for me, though, and it goes to Egg, was when Dunk and Egg were having that thing where he was like, yeah, people make fun of me because I'm small. And he goes, well, people make fun of me because I'm stupid. And he goes, and what is it? Well, what do you do when people think you're stupid? He's like, what business of it is yours? And Egg's like, what? What's happening? Like the two of them in that moment, that's what you dream of when you are casting a show, to have two characters that play off of each other. Like that moment gave me such a spontaneous laughing out loud. Like that was just such a perfect moment. I was like, oh, I'm in on these two.
Yeah. And sorry, I know we're rushing. One other thing, because the character building is so good, and the best seasons of Game of Thrones did this as well. They did it in a different way, but because the character building is so good, when we finally get to that action, it's going to be we're going to be so much more invested because we've gone on this journey with these folks.
Yeah. And I think when you take just a half an hour episodes to lead to the action, you can delay the action a little bit. It's when you're sitting through multiple hours of episodes, you're like, can we get to a fight or a battle? Oh, no, we got to wait till next season. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. House of Dragons season 2, dragging us along. The big battle's going to happen. The big battle's going to happen. The big battle's going to happen next year or in 3 years or whatever it is. I was like, that was a little excessive.
Exactly.
They don't do it right every time. I mean,
I'll give them the writer's strike. I will give them the out of, okay, like there was things happening that maybe this wasn't fully on you, but y'all better come back strong.
So we'll see. We're looking forward to episode 3 and see what happens when they finally get in the pit and go at it. So, speaking of going at it, maybe we'll be one more episode. But speaking of going at it, let's jump into this trailer because a lot of people went at it in this trailer. That's Daredevil Born Again season 2. So much in this trailer here. I just put a bunch of pictures up here. We see Matt there with Karen Page. We see Kingpin is back. Him and Vanessa celebrating. Jessica Jones is here. We got Bullseye possibly teaming up. What seems like teaming up with Daredevil. We're back with those prisons there that we saw Punisher in at the end of season 1. Foggy is back. Is that a flashback possibly? And that little smile of Daredevil there as well. So much in this particular trailer. Michael, your thoughts? What stood out to you? What worked for you? What'd you like about what we got here in a minute and 18 seconds of a trailer? What'd you see?
Yeah, for a minute and 18 seconds, they really packed this thing full. And I would say that I am mostly excited. Daredevil Born Again season 1 was a roller coaster of a show.
Yeah.
Particularly because you had 2 different creative teams that hodgepodged a series together. So we had kind of a start that was promising, a show that went downhill quickly to a couple episodes that I think are some of the worst episodes of TV that I've ever seen, to 2 episodes at the end that kind of said, okay, we're fixing things, but I don't know that they fully fixed it. So you kind of left going,
right,
okay, what's next? Like it's similar to the thing with House of Dragon that I was saying, like the shift of showrunners and the creative direction and we're going to let the new team do the first episode and the last 2, and we're going to edit the shit out of everything else and kind of stitch it together, was so public that we all were kind of watching a show that we knew was a little bit schizophrenic. And now with this second season, we are fully on this is the direction we're going. This is the creative team. This is so there's no more, we'll give you an out. There's no more, okay, well, this wasn't really your fault. Like, this is their make or break it season. Based on the trailer, like, okay, like the Karen Page being back. Like Karen Page is in. Like, first creative team in season 1 said no Karen Page, no Foggy. They changed their mind. They put him in the beginning and end. So, but now we've got Karen and Matt back together. They've got great chemistry. They're a great team. Okay, awesome. We're picking up the story of Fisk's vigilante task force. Very interested in what they do with that and how far they can push that. We got Jessica Jones coming in, which I'm a big fan of. Like, Jessica Jones as a series definitely was maybe the law of diminishing returns over 3 seasons, but that first season I think is still one of the best things that was on Netflix. And I think her in that character is great. So I think her coming back in, all of these kind of threads picking up, Matt Lillard coming in as this new mysterious Mr. Charles character, and more Bullseye. Which again was something the new team was clearly more interested in. We've got Jack Duquesne and the Punisher sort of trapped in Fisk's secret prison. Like, there's just a lot. And the other thing that I really liked is this trailer was very stylish. Like, this wasn't just hey, it's a Marvel show, be excited. Like, this trailer had some vibes and personality to it. So I would say that to me, I'm excited about this as an opportunity to go, okay, we went with you on this wild ride for season 1. Now let's see what you can really do. And I'm hoping that we come out and go, fuck, now this is what we were waiting for.
Yeah, the energy of a payoff. Yeah, for sure. And going into season 2. What do you think, Shannon? What stood out to you, work for you on this particular trailer?
Well, I mean, I said on our text thread, I'm feeling a little once bitten by DD right now. So the trailer, it was fine. Like, it was like I'm gonna watch the show. I'm still a fan of those characters, but there was nothing in the trailer that necessarily got me excited. I mean, the thing that got me the most excited was Kristen Ritter coming back as Jessica Jones, and then leaning into the history of the Netflix series, because even though I thought Defenders was not a good show, I did enjoy the dynamic that Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones had. So knowing that she is going to be playing some role going into the series does have me excited. There are some production design choices that I'm still not a big fan of. I don't like the choice to make Wilson Fisk small or smaller. Like King Thin for me just doesn't work. And maybe that was a D'Onofrio thing, saying, I don't want to wear this damn suit anymore. Or maybe it was purely for what Matt said in the first or second episode, where it's like, you lost weight, you're trying to look less intimidating. Maybe that was the narrative choice. I just know aesthetically I don't love it, even though him in that charity boxing match with his giant biceps beating the shit out of the guy, I'm like, okay, that is kind of scary looking. But yeah, and also the design that we have seen of the Bullseye suit, like, I'm just like, yeah, it's just a little plain for me. And like, is the answer to do what they do in the comics with the bullseye and the mask? Maybe not. I mean, maybe this is what they felt was the best choice. But I just know visually for me, it does not get me that jazzed. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking forward to the show, even though the first footage we're seeing doesn't necessarily scratch me where I itch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did a reaction to this one yesterday. I liked it. I like the trailer. I like what we got here. I like the image of protests, right? Like you're seeing there's throughout this trailer, there's clearly was it AVTF or whatever they call it? They're creating these
yeah.
video.
Vigilante, the vigilante
VTF, vigilante task
VTF.
force.
No, there's something else in there. There's
isn't there an A? I thought there was an A in there.
There is an A. What is the A?
Anti-vigilante.
Anti-vigilante. Anti-vigilante task force.
All right, the AVTF.
Teamwork, guys. Teamwork.
I like that you're seeing staged videos of them like high-fiving the people that they're going to be lording over and controlling. Where have I seen that before? And I like that there's a protest element to it. Someone wearing the Kingpin mask making videos. Who is that going to be? Because we had that element in the first season, right? With that girl who was looking oh god, I forget what his Ben Carson's was it niece or whatever. Like he's in there, is that right? Yeah, BB doing all the stuff that she was doing. So there's going to be a pushback to what Kingpin is doing. So how is he going to navigate that? Then you've got, as you said, Jessica Jones coming in. What is the relationship there between them? How is that going to play itself out? What are they fighting? How are they going to come together? And Bullseye, this X Factor element that might be involved in this as well with his need for revenge. That is exciting, right? And then are you going to bring in Luke Cage? Are you going to bring in a new Iron Fist? Are you going to bring, so there's elements of the possibilities. There's no Punisher in this trailer, which I think is really interesting too. Will we see him or not see him?
He wasn't was he not? Did I just make him up?
I didn't see him, but maybe he was. I didn't see him. So because we see the cages, but I don't know that we've seen.
You're right. Yeah, I think in my mind I just imagined I saw him. I think we're going to see him. Yeah. I think we're going to see him. I think we are going to see Luke Cage. Foggy is an open one because the shot of Foggy
he has a flashback.
Well, he has long hair, and he did not have long hair in the first episode. So my gut says that shot is a flashback, and that Karen and Matt on whatever like Matt's clearly in hiding. Like they are clearly sort of in hiding. Like Fisk came for him. Fisk might not tell the world that he knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, but he knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. So kind of what that whole journey is. But yeah, whatever trails they're following, I think we are going to see some flashbacks with Foggy. Yeah. We talked about this a lot at the end of last season when they said he was coming back. Like Foggy in the comics did die at one point and then was revealed to be in witness protection. So even though I think this shot is a flashback, there's a world where Foggy does show up again, and that's kind of a big plot point, and like that could be cool too. There's a lot of people, particularly because Punisher is in Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is in New York City, and Fisk is ostensibly the mayor at the same time of both movies, and there is an anti-vigilante task force. So there's a lot of questions on how much Brand New Day and Born Again kind of link up. And in the comics, when Daredevil gathered a bunch of heroes to go up against Fisk's anti-vigilante task force, Spidey was there because Spidey lives in New York. So there's a lot of people going, are we going to see Spider-Man in this series? Guys, I don't know that Tom Holland is showing up on a Disney Plus series. Like I don't know that is in the cards. So I just hope that we level set everybody's expectations, which we are notoriously bad at doing with Marvel shows when we start guessing about Easter eggs and cameos. But it will be interesting to see because the Punisher is in Spider-Man. I'm more interested to see if some of the events of Daredevil or Fisk being mayor play into Brand New Day than I am guessing that somebody from the movies is going to show up in Daredevil. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I hope it's good at the end of the day. And it does seem to tease more action than we got. And I like that we're getting more with his political guys there, opening that trunk kind of Goodfellas style to see a body in there.
Your favorite Gandolfini?
Yeah. Well, he's getting better. He's getting better. He was good in Warfare. And so like seeing him kind of do more in this, let's see where he's going to go with that character. Because it may have just been that I didn't like him last season because he was underwritten role. And it wasn't believable, some of the jumps in his character.
Speaking of, what was Heather just in recently? Where she was actually good. We talked about this, didn't we?
Task. On HBO.
Task.
Yes.
Task.
Great.
I think she's one of the worst parts of Daredevil Born Again through no fault of her own. But that character that character and Muse, I think probably suffered the most from this Frankenstein editing that happened with those episodes.
Right.
Like her sort of being Matt's girlfriend and Wilson and Vanessa's therapist and Muse's therapist, like the whole thing. But at the end of the episode, when the new team came in for those last two, Fisk taking her and putting her in charge of a lot of the anti-vigilante stuff and saying, look, your opinion about vigilantes and my opinion about vigilantes is the same. So we do see her in the trailer. And I am really interested, particularly because she was fantastic in Task. So I do hope she is given a better written role in this next season as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead, Shane.
I was gonna say it's the famous therapist shortage of New York. That's why she had to see everybody.
Oh God, that was of all the coincidences. Well, whatever. We've litigated that enough, but it drove me crazy.
Oh, sure, I can fit you in. You're famous, I'll fit you in. Yeah, Margarita Levieva is the actress, and so seeing her to do more is great. And also, according to IMDb, we will get BB back for 8 episodes. So maybe BB, Janiyah Walton, maybe she is behind the Kingpin mask. I would not be surprised in those shots. And Matt Lillard, what is Lillard's role in all of this? Going to be
mysterious role. We don't really know what his deal is, but new. My money is he's behind that mask. That Kingpin
you think he's
mask,
behind the mask?
Apropos of nothing, just randomly, my guess. You put Shaggy in a TV show, and he's gonna have a big role, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's where he goes. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, zoinks.
Don't tell Tarantino. Let's move on to this image here. Mike, Shannon, I'll get your thoughts on this. James Gunn, speaking of details, posted these pictures of Chaco's, the corporate headquarters of Chaco's, which we know is very famously connected to Martian Manhunter. James loves to tease, even though he says he tries to stay off social media. So what are your thoughts on this? Are we getting Martian Manhunter now in Man of Tomorrow? Is this essentially going to be a Justice League movie without being called a Justice League movie? Like, what are we doing here? Your thoughts, Shannon?
I mean, it's the cookie, it's the Oreo cookie that they eat in the DC universe. I think the fact that there is a conference room devoted to it means that it's going to play some function, but whether or not we're going to get Martian Manhunter, who knows? Who knows?
All right, Mike, what do you think? Do you think this is possible? Because we see Martian Manhunter, he clearly loves Chacos in the comic books. He's there with glasses of milk and stuff. So, like, is this a way of fucking with the fans, or is this a legitimate thing? What do you think?
Well, I'll give you one thing.
Okay.
It is not subtle.
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
Those pictures are not subtle. I don't know that I've ever seen a boardroom in real life that was that decorated with logos and iconography. And I've worked at Hasbro. We're getting Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
But yes, we're getting, like, you don't go Chacos, and like Chacos is the Oreo cookie of the DC universe. And I suppose it comes up in other contexts, but there is one reason that you would go to that length to establish Chacos. Like, if you the difference is, if you showed me a picture of Metropolis and there was a billboard for Chacos, I would go, okay, fine. Like, they're fine. Like, they're doing a billboard. Like, they needed stuff. That's a fun little. If there's a boardroom scene, like, yes, we're going to see John Johns. Like, that's, and also just given Gunn's affinity for like Justice League International and other, like, there's like Martian Manhunter fits into the world and the universe. We also talked about this a little bit with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Lobo coming into it, and the bigger story of the prison. Like, it just, aliens and the alien threats and aliens versus humans and all of it, like Lex Luthor's opinions on aliens, like all of these things line up to go, it's a perfect place for John Jones to show up. Do I think that the Superman movies are going to become the Justice League movies? Yeah, but like I said last week, or whenever we talked about it, in the same way that the Captain America movies kind of became sort of mid-Avengers movies. I have no ill will towards Civil War. It's one of my top 10 Marvel movies, and it's 100% an Avengers movie that happens to also be a Captain America movie. So if the Superman movies continue along this line, and we get a Wonder Woman movie over here, and we get this Brave and the Bold movie down the way over here, and we get other movies, but every time we get to a Superman movie, we're dealing with the Justice Gang, we're introducing new heroes, and we're seeing Superman sort of inspire others as they sort of gather around him, and that leads to Justice League. I'm 100% good with that strategy.
Yeah. Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? And Michael, too. The three of us as fans of Welcome to Derry, and I'm personally a fan of his work in Perry Mason. What about Chris Chalk? A lot of people, the internet has been blowing up saying they want Chris Chalk as Martian Manhunter John Johns. Is that a possibility? Do we like this look? Do we think this is a good idea?
As a fan of Chris Chalk,
yeah,
I think he would make a terrific John Jones. Do I think? I don't know. I don't know if they would go for somebody fancier.
Oh, right, someone bigger name. All right. What are your thoughts, Michael?
That casting is so perfect that I hope James Gunn doesn't get his ego in the way and say, well, since the fans suggested it, I'll do something else. They should just do that. He should play John Jones. Like, end of story. End of story. It's right up there when they said, hey, we're looking at Lois Lane's. One of them is Rachel Brosnahan. And it was like, done. Like, there's no other choice. Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane. You just have to do it. Like, this guy is so perfect to be Martian Manhunter that at this point, choosing anybody else, I think, is a disservice to the character.
I agree 100%. I'd love to see it. All right, well, there you go. Let's move on to our big review, our big spoiler review here. Let's talk about it. It is Wonder Man. That's right, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Ben Kingsley. This is a spoiler review, so we will be talking about stuff that happens in this one. We follow Simon Williams from Pacoima, coming from good stock there with his mom and his brother Eric. And those of you who know Eric's role in the comics, we'll see if that plays itself up. But he hooks up with Trevor Slattery as a friend who guides him through this acting journey that he goes on as they try to get on to the film Wonder Man. And we see, of course, that Trevor Slattery is being influenced by the department there that's pushing him to become friends with Simon. And we know that Simon has a power that slowly but surely gets shown throughout the series here. We see them finally get onto the set, do the movie, and my man is a star, but not before. But by the end, he explodes all of that studio there, and we see where it all ends up there. So, Michael, your thoughts? What'd you think of this season? All 8 episodes, all 30 minutes or less. What'd you think of this thing?
When we talked about this a few years ago, it feels like a few weeks ago, with the trailers, and I said, look, I think the fact that they are dumping all these episodes on a Tuesday doesn't bode well for the show.
Yeah.
And then last night, when you texted us and said, are you going to watch all of Wonder Man? I would like us to do a spoiler review tomorrow. I went, fuck me. Do I really want to spend my evening watching 8 episodes of a show that Marvel dumped on Disney Plus? Like, I guess I'll have to do it. Told you guys that we had to record later because I didn't want to watch them all in one sitting. I am so used to being disappointed by Marvel, and it is such a great feeling when I am bowled over by being completely wrong.
Yeah.
This show is easily one of the best things Marvel has done on TV. This show is so great. The two of them are so fantastic.
Yeah.
It is a show that clearly fits within the Marvel universe, and yet the show doesn't feel like a Marvel show in any way, shape, or form. Like, it feels like if this was on Apple Plus, I'd be like, great, yeah, this is an Apple show. Like, it is so good. I was so charmed by it. I was so entertained by it. And honestly, a show that doesn't have some villain that gets a villain origin story in episode 3, and then the finale is Simon has to fight this villain at the premiere of Wonder Man and his like, we didn't have that. There is no big supervillain antagonist in this. Damage Control is the biggest antagonist we have. Like, this is a story about these two guys that become best friends, and it is fucking delightful. Like, no notes, loved it. Best Marvel. I love it. Just give me more Simon, give me more Trevor. Also, Trevor Slattery has had the wildest ride in the MCU of any character.
Yeah. I said this in my review that he is like the Tony Stark for the lesser known characters, now with Shang-Chi and with Wonder Man. But Shannon, your thoughts on this? You know, you and I have been actors. Michael on the other side, of course, but you and I have been actors. We've been through a lot of the scenes that you see in this show. What were your thoughts here on this particular series and the journey that Simon Williams goes on and where it ends up by the end with him and Trevor Slattery in the department coming after him?
Well, dear audience, when John started to watch his screeners, he didn't get out of the pilot, I don't think, or the first episode, and texted me. He's like, "Hey, the first episode's really good. It's gonna trigger you."
Yeah. Yes.
Within the first 5 minutes, as someone who is very fortunate to be working right now, watching the actions that Simon decides to take, it's like, oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, that's a terrible idea. And like, you can see, it's like, oh, this is only going downhill from here. I can see where you think you're doing the right thing, but this is only going to end in heartbreak. No, I super enjoyed this. I mean, it was the dynamic that Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Ben Kingsley have. That's not something that's not something you can predict.
Right.
And like thinking about when this was pitched, I mean, years ago, the whole idea that you actually can't do this show, you can't do this version of this show without Trevor Slattery. I mean, the serendipity of Ben Kingsley playing this actor in Iron Man 3 that a lot of the audience, myself included, was like, that's what you did with the Mandarin? That's kind of... but then the one shot that he was in when they used to do those shorts, I was like, all right, that was pretty enjoyable. Seeing him pop up in Shang-Chi, now seeing him pop up with Wonder Man, it's like, I agree with Vogel. Like the journey that Ben Kingsley has taken in the MCU has been the most unorthodox. But again, just super enjoyable. I mean, Ben Kingsley is a phenomenal performer. He was knighted because he can act good. So watching him in a universe that I love, even though it's on kind of shaky ground right now, this is the type of show that I thought was kind of made for me, because this is the MCU, and it's also about an actor. The moment in episode 3 that my wife looked over, and I'm kind of like, yeah, Simon's right, when he's talking about like maybe this just isn't going to happen. Like every working and non-working performer has that moment, and it was just so emotionally engaging. Now, for folks that are casual viewers of the MCU, are they going to dig this? I don't know, because I think there is an expectation of what a Marvel show should be. This is not that. But the character building that they do, and when you do get a little bit of action, it is very satisfying because you are so on board with Simon and Trevor. And when we were talking last week, or whenever we were talking about it, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be bad, but I know they didn't think it was useful going forward. And that's kind of why they did this. And that remains to be seen. I mean, he's very much out there at the end of the show. I hope they utilize him, but, we won't be able to tell until after Secret Wars.
Yeah.
I was talking with our buddy Brian, who's probably listening to this. And it's interesting because, the dumping of every episode usually is an indicator. And I do think that Marvel, here's what I think. I think actually they were smart to put all the episodes up at once. Because I think Marvel fans being Marvel fans, I think watching this show week to week in those little bite-sized chunks, I think some of us would have really liked it, but I could see people getting bored with it pretty quickly. It's not a show that's designed to have those big cliffhangers, to have those big reveals like WandaVision did each week. And I do think putting it out at once was probably smart, but I think their reasonings for doing it, I question. Like their promotion of this show was virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
We all know it's very public that they were thinking about just writing it off as a tax write-off at one point, and the creative team had to fight for it. So it's clear that Marvel didn't have a lot of confidence in this. And we're just like, let's just get it out there. And Shannon has brought this up before, and it sat around for like 2 years completely finished before they even put it out. So there's a lot of questions onto what they thought about this internally. But when you look at, I was scrolling through Twitter last night and looking at the reactions, and I was looking at some reviews. We're not the only ones that are like, this is one of the best Marvel shows. Like, we're not the only ones that are like, this was absolutely delightful. So I'm curious as to what they're thinking at Marvel today about the future of Simon Williams, about the future of Trevor Slattery, about where this could go, because I kind of had the same feeling. And I haven't had this after a Marvel movie or Marvel TV show for a long time, where it was like, boy, I'd love to see more of the two of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. A few of my friends who had seen it earlier before I got to the screeners had texted me and were like, dude, this is great. You're going to love it. Don't get into the fact that it's dumped all at once. It's actually really effing good. And then the people who came out of the premiere were tweeting about how much they loved what they had seen in the premiere. So when I started watching this thing, I was like, let's see what happens. And I blazed through it in the afternoon. And I've never done that. I didn't do that with Echo.
Yeah.
I didn't do that with Ironheart, and I certainly do that with Eyes of Wakanda. But so I was just like so engrossed. And this, by the time it was over, because it stuck the landing, by the time it was over, this is now in the upper echelon. This is in WandaVision, Loki territory of Marvel television shows, right? And I was really impressed by that. And I hear you, Shannon, like how many people are going to get into, but I think what is universal about the show is this is a guy who has a past, that he's done some things and he's ashamed of some of those things. They've affected him in his life, and he's trying to hide his light. He's ashamed of his light, what he can show, what he can do, because it's caused damage, as you saw when they pull the sheet, when Trevor sees the damage of that, when he has the conversation with his girlfriend, the great Olivia Thirlby, at the bar saying, I've known about your secret the whole time. So there's been this thing, and there's a universality in that. It's people trying to achieve the thing they want to achieve, but being their own worst enemy in the pursuit of the thing they're trying to achieve. And then having this power that they know they could do if they only get a shot at it. I think there's a lot of universal in that. But you frame it in an acting thing, and yeah, it could be very, very like maybe hard to get into, but I think the universal aspects of it all. But the relationship, as you guys have both stressed already, the relationship with him and Trevor Slattery is so genuine, so good. The little back and forth, even when they're at when they're at the audition and Trevor sees him and brings him into the room, he goes, you know what? Some of us do like to help each other. It actually is. So now, he's got an ulterior motive later, but there's something genuine about it. And then you throw in the Joey Pants shit. Oh my God. I was losing it for the Joey Pants shit. That was brilliant, because all of us have that one person who's like achieved this thing, and you're like, fucking motherfucker. Like all of us have it. And so him being there and having the back and forth, and then Simon standing up for him. Like, I think he doesn't become the Mandalorian to take the heat off Simon if Simon doesn't stand up to him with Joey Pants. That's a connection. That's a brotherhood. That's a love that develops throughout. And him saving him at the end is so earned by the time you get to the end of this thing, because Trevor's been the one that's wanting him to embrace himself, not only as an actor, but as Wonder Man. And so there's so much of a payoff by the end of it that it's great. And his agent is great. She's fantastic. I love her, their interaction and energy. My complaints about the show are, I didn't think the department of whatever it is was that stressed enough.
It's the Department of Damage Control. It's been around for a few years now. Come on.
Yeah. But that's how little it's affected me, because I just don't think they're that interesting, the DODC. And I think they could have done more with that. And I do think that having Olivia only show up in the scene where she's leaving him and then at the bar at the end, like it's his ex-girlfriend. I would have liked to see more, because Olivia's a damn good actress. They didn't do much with her. And then the mom and his brother, I think there should have been more with them. But those are my only complaints about the show. Everything else was excellent and so much fun to see. And by the end, as Michael said, I wanted more. So that's a good feeling. Yeah.
I'm just still stuck on Ben Kingsley being the Mandalorian now, so I'm going to take that to think about that for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Where do we go with that?
But
do you think let me ask you this: do you think the reactions that have been so positive, the reviews are so great for this, and the conversations are very positive around this? Does this mean that we're going to see Simon Williams continue in the feature film? Yaya's been on screen, Black Manta, all these other things that he's played on screen, on big screen. So is this a next step for him? Do we make Simon a bigger part?
Look, I think I think two things about it. I think one, let's see what the numbers are. If Wonder Man has great word of mouth and all of the nerds who watched it in the past 24 hours go tell all their nerd friends, hey, I know you're Alf on Marvel. This is a great thing. You should watch it. And everyone is watching it and it does really, really well. Great for them. Even if that doesn't happen, I think Marvel has been so starved for any level of like good news. I mean, I know that like all of the Doomsday trailers combined like got like 1 billion views and they were like trying to tout that, but I don't think that the excitement around Doomsday is what they hope it would be right now. And I think like the genuine critical, and from what I've seen so far, fan response to Wonder Man has to feel good. Yeah. And so like there's a level of, it would be great to continue that goodwill. As far as I disagree with you a little bit. Like, I think a little bit of Marvel goes a long way. And what I really appreciated about this show is that although it felt very firmly like it fit within the Marvel universe, you know, Rogers the musical billboard on the studio set, the director having a bunch of pictures of the actual Avengers up on his kind of mood board for what he wanted the movie to look like. It was a light touch. It didn't feel like it was some massive Marvel crossover. And the Department of Damage Control fit in perfectly for what it needed to be. It was pressuring Trevor Slattery to find out information about Simon, and they were going after Simon because they're going to get their budget cut. And I think that actually works really well for the bigger Marvel universe, because I'm relatively certain that as much as the Department of Damage Control is having a hard time filling their prisons right now, post Secret Wars, Department of Damage Control is going to be full up with mutants. So I do think it's like they've, you know, they kind of introduced it in Spider-Man No Way Home. They used it a little clunkily, but properly in Ms. Marvel. But I thought here it was actually the exact right amount. Like, I didn't want it to be bigger or more of a massive presence, because this is a smaller show. And I liked that it just had the room to breathe and be character and be just about the character work.
To me, it's just that it's too flaccid to really become an antagonist. And that's my issue with the way it's presented here. It's too kind of weak already. So it never really feels like, oh, it's a real danger, a legitimate danger to Trevor, you know? And so I would have liked that to be a little harder edge to it, but maybe that's not the point, you know?
It's not, well, I think, you know, like with what makes this show work, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit with him being the Mandarin, not the Mandalorian, but I do think that I do think that that's what's great about this show is the stakes of the show are less, oh God, Department of Damage Control is coming after Simon Williams. Right. The stakes of the show are Simon cannot actually get out of his own way because he won't show people who he is, for all the reasons that you really eloquently put out there. And that the one person that he trusts in the world is lying to him.
Right.
So as we're watching this show, I'm not going, oh, fuck, the DAODC is coming after him. I'm like, he really cared. Like, these guys love each other. These guys are really there for each other. And this guy is lying to him. And when he finds that out and goes in and blows up the set.
It's amazing.
And this friendship has fallen apart. Those stakes, to me, watching the show, are way more devastating than they almost got him. He used his powers and he's on the run.
That's fair.
Totally. And then when you get, like, I think of all, I agree with Shannon. Like, when we all saw Iron Man 3 and Ben Kingsley's Mandarin was just a drunk actor on drugs who was pretending to be this terrorist, we were all like, well, womp womp. And we've enjoyed him and he's been fun, but the entire arc of him letting go of moving on from being the Mandarin, getting back to acting, putting that in his past. And then the only way he can figure out to get Simon out of the jam he put him in is to become the Mandarin again and take credit for that. When he came on that screen in his Mandarin voice and took credit for the bombing, I was like, this is the most satisfying thing that I didn't know I was ever like. This is now the satisfying ending of this Mandarin story to me. I thought this was just going to be a kind of thing that I didn't care about. And then when you turn it around after all that, and he does that sacrifice for Simon, and then Simon comes along after he gets everything he wants. He is a superstar. All of his dreams come true. They're talking about Wonder Man 2, and he goes and uses the excuse of being an actor to break into Damage Control and rescue Trevor. Like, I didn't need a big antagonist. They were each other's antagonists. Like, their relationship falling apart and coming back together at the end the way it did was so satisfying. And I think that's the thing, is that Marvel always falls into that trap of the last 2 episodes end up by default being our hero having to battle some big antagonist, whether it's a government organization or other superheroes or a big bad guy. And this was
not what I'm saying. So
but I'm saying, like,
I didn't want the ending to do that, but I wanted just a stronger force. But I hear you.
Well, see, I think you could have juiced that Department of Damage Control threat. You could have, but the Department of Damage Control wasn't necessarily going after Simon Williams. It was Agent Cleary who was going after. Like, everyone is kind of fighting for their job right now.
So it's
it was really one guy. I mean, granted, he had the department behind him, but I think you make it a bigger threat, then you lose the intimacy of that dynamic.
Well, it also just
larger complaint is that I don't think the Department of Damage Control has been anything but a flaccid possible antagonist.
And that's a fair.
That's
fair.
Overall, I guess that's my overall complaint. So I'll say that. I guess that's my.
That is in this phase, in this the multiverse saga. The underuse of the thing that they introduced with the Department of Damage Control is huge. Like this is something that you really could have used. Yeah. But also, I mean, looking at how long this has been done, I think it's another kind of feather in the cap of Destin Daniel Cretton. That you look at what he did with Shang-Chi, which I mean, I didn't love the third act, but I thought the movie itself was really good. You look at what he did with this, and granted, it was him and Andrew Guest who were, steering this ship. You look at what he has been able to do character-wise, and then you give him the keys to Spider-Man. And I'm like, that journey is making a lot of sense right now.
Although it is interesting because, I agree with you 100%, but it is interesting because Marvel clearly wasn't too excited about this one. Like, they love working with him, but like, I think the proof is in the pudding that we're all watching it and saying it's great, but they didn't really get super behind it, but they did give him Spider-Man. So I'm really curious as to what they thought about this internally.
I think they probably, here's what I think. This is my belief, and people can come after me in the comments if they want, but I think they got nervous. And I think they saw, like they've seen people turning against the anti-woke stuff. They saw what happened with Echo. They saw what happened with Ironheart. They, Eyes of Wakanda, nobody watched that or talked about it. And so I think they were nervous that people weren't going to like, because it's a black-led super TV show. People wanted the white Simon Williams from the comics. Like, there was all kinds of possibilities. I think that's factored into there. It's horrible that it's 4 shows led by people of color. You could argue Eyes of Wakanda, it's animated, but like that, it's led by people of color that gets no push and no elevation from Disney. But there are other crappy shows led by the white heroes, no problem. And so it's a frustrating thing when you look at it. So hopefully this rises above the din of that because of the quality of the show, and people are talking about it more by the end. And I do want to say one more thing. We haven't even talked about Zlatko Buric, who's the director. Those scenes in the house were amazing. And I thought he was really great. I wish they brought him in like an episode earlier, but when we did get him, those were great scenes. He
was way more.
He was better than Superman. Yeah.
He was way better. I was going to say he was way better than Superman. Well, the other thing we didn't talk about, and I think it's worth mentioning, is episode 4.
Oh, the black and white. Yeah, that was
episode 4. Like, so, like, there was a question, and I mean, even from the trailer, there was this question of like, well, I can tell from the trailer that superheroes aren't allowed to be actors, but I don't really know why that exists in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And when the entire story in episode 4, which is kind of its own little short story, it's its own little thing, all done in black and white, where we see this whole thing unfold with Josh Gad singing Frozen in the club, and this guy getting his powers from the Roxxon organization, leaving this stuff behind. It was so fascinating as I was doing my whole sort of binge of everything. To get to this random episode and be like, what the fuck is going on? And then you realize, oh, this is why actors can't be superheroes. And, DeMar Davis is a character from the comic books with the exact same power, not a doorman, not all those things, but they kind of took it and used it really, really well. And also the fact that Josh Gad apparently canonically disappeared into a superhero in the Marvel universe and no longer exists.
If only that were true.
Interesting enough.
If only that were true. I'd love to put that as a real thing. Go ahead, yes.
But along the same lines, as we're talking about how stylish the show was and how satisfying it was, also to have this standalone episode that is super important to the bigger story and to Simon's story, but like kind of just be this own little commentary on the way that Hollywood takes somebody with talent and bleeds all of what they can out of them and then pushes them out to draw. Like it was just really, I was like, this is fucking great. This is amazing.
Yeah. Agreed. There's so much more to say on that I really loved as well. All right, so that's it. That's our. Anything more to say, Shannon? Are you good? Shall we wrap it up? Are you good? All right, that's our spoiler review for Wonder Man Season 1. We hope you enjoyed it. And maybe you listen to this because you were still on the fence on whether you wanted to watch or not. Maybe we've inspired you to watch it, which would be great. Anything else we do to inspire you to watch this stuff, we definitely appreciate. So, Shannon, what do we have to tell the wonderful people who are watching us right now?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at geek_buddies, on Instagram at _geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at NKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mike.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's John Rocha page. Check out all the amazing content he has got there. Leave your comments below. What do you think of Filoni's Star Wars movies or TV shows? What do you think of Chacos? What do you think of Daredevil? What do you think of Wonder Man? Do you want to see Ben Kingsley as the Mandalorian like Johnny does? Let us know in the comments below. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some stars and comments so we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
Don't come for me, Matthew Lillard. Don't come for me. All right. Put that on the table. Put that on the table, buddy. All right. Thank you so much. And of course, let us know what you think about Sir Alan's horsecock. Let us know that as well. All right. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Buddies.